The following channel is received via James Tyberonn from Archangel Metatron. It is entitled The Origin and Purpose of Crystal Skulls, Their Important Role in the New Earth and Human Bioshift, 2016 and Beyond. The content of this original channel is timely and truly fascinating information. Do take time to listen to the complete channel. It is extremely important, applicable and very interesting. The texted version of this extraordinary channel is found in James Tyberonn's book entitled 2038, The Next Quantum Leap, and this book is available for purchase on our Earthkeeper website. All 3D copyrights of this channeled information are duly reserved to James Tyberonn and www.earthkeeper.com. Enjoy and Namaste.
Crystal Codes: The Nature, Origin, and Purpose of Crystal Skulls. Archangel Metatron via James Tyberonn. Greetings, Masters. I am Metatron, angelic of light, and I welcome each of you in a field of unconditional love. As always, we form an energetic vector of love, unconditional love, that encircles each of you in the now time that you are reading these words. Please take a moment to feel this energy, for it is the energy of your source. Now, to begin, we speak in this moment of the paradigm of perfection and the coding processes of humanity and Earth. We speak of the portals termed crystal skulls. The ancient crystal skulls are conscious libraries that linger in defiance of your society's carefully nurtured notions of what constitutes reality and what is fantasy. For we tell you, the science behind these remarkable sentient beings is now beginning to unfold before you, and this is but the first of many such scientific discoveries that will verify as fact much that was considered fantasy. You will be literally amazed at what will be revealed within the next few years as you enter the crystalline age of the Aquarian shift from 2015 and beyond. Dear human, in year 3 of the new Earth, 2015, your scientists have announced breakthroughs in the ability to modify quartz in such a way as to store massive amounts of data in a medium that is virtually timeless, capable of holding data for hundreds of millions of years. Innovations are being made in which data can be stored using coherent laser light to record in quartz in what they have termed as 5D, 5 dimensions. Your scientists have referred to this breakthrough of quartz as the Superman crystal. This is in reference to the Fortress of Solitude crystal depicted in your cinema of a holographic crystal that seeded both DNA and records onto your planet. This factual discovery is in fact a preliminary benchmark to rediscoveries of attributes of quartz that have been known in more advanced civilizations on the Earth, and is known by the Syrian Pleiadian Arcturian Alliance. But for the shape depicted, this is an attribute of the ancient crystal skulls and the Fortress of Solitude allegorical to the Hall of Records. You are entering the crystalline age, and the remarkable discoveries being made in this era are no accident. What this involves is far more than you currently understand or accept in mainstream. We have told you before that the new lightworkers will come from academia, from the scientific. Indeed, this will be a natural progression of integral science, and that is an extremely benevolent step. In these new discoveries, specific aspects of reality that are currently considered as pseudoscience or are summarily dismissed as airy-fairy delusions of New Age metaphysics, will have an unquestioned entry as fact. It will be through science that the integral circle that combines science to the sacred will be united. It is through science that humanity will rediscover, in a factual, credible manner, such essentials as multidimensionality and the crystalline nature of higher dimensional physics. Through the science of plasma physics, you will in time learn that your chakras work as particle accelerators and connect you to other realms of consciousness. You will learn that antimatter and matter do not annihilate one another. Rather, they are part of the same spectrum. Matter exists in spectrums, as does light, with physical matter on one level, and that you term antimatter on the other. Edgar Cayce, Atlantis, and Crystals. We are currently working through the channel of Tyberonn of Crystalline Service to share information regarding gems, crystals, crystal skulls, and Atlantis. This is a reawakening of information that the channel and many of you of the Law of One will quickly intuitively recognize. For many of you were there, were among the Law of One of Poseidon, and are awakening now into what may be termed as a sacred oath and soul contract in your terms. It is of the crystalline frequency and its benevolent energy and ensuring its benevolent use. This is information you have once known and now will rediscover and apply. The entity known in current times as Edgar Cayce was and is a truly remarkable soul, one of integrity, honesty, and exceptional credibility. He provided a vast range of extraordinary information in his 14,000 readings given in pristine clarity. He brought forth knowledge on a wide variety of topics, including health, life purpose, human origin, Atlantis, the Law of One, and the benevolent use of gems and crystals. Cayce spoke of gems and crystals as tools for health, chakric alignment, and communication with the divine. This knowledge was ancient truths, well understood by the more scientifically advanced societies of Atlantis and early Egypt. Sadly, much of this wisdom has been forgotten or sadly dismissed as folklore in current times. It is time to remember these truths, and that is why this information is being brought forth again in the present, the new crystalline age. Indeed, you are now in the early stages of the Aquarian shift, and it is very important to understand and utilize crystalline wisdom. The Earth has shifted into the initial stages of the crystalline frequency, and humanity are following suit. Even now, the human body is undergoing genetic modifications, transitioning into a silicone crystalline body type. What this shift means is that crystalline gems, minerals, and earthen structures operate more efficiently as tools of opening, tools of entrainment to the human vibratory resonance, and will aid in the shift, individually and in mass, to the human crystalline resonance. Your Edgar Cayce spoke of the ancients of Atlantis, Lemuria, and pre-duality Earth as recognizing the perfected structure and sacred geometry of the human cranium as the entry portal of consciousness into the dimensions of Earth, and indeed the gateway of higher realm. So it is thus understandable why the cranium model was selected for the crystalline multidimensional libraries referred to as crystal skulls. They are multidimensional dynamic portals. They are indeed conscious, living computers that constantly update with appropriate programs of universal mind in support of the Earth and humanity. They receive and project hologramic codes that drive the ongoing upshift of the planetary matrix, as well as the paradigms of your duality consciousness. And we tell you, dear ones, the transition of humanity is unfolding with renewed purpose. The crystalline age is upon you, and it is the crystalline energy that defines the resonance of humanity's coming graduation and upshift. The very recent cutting-edge discovery of the so-called Superman Quartz memory chip, with its ability to store information for vast ages of time, is then credible information that allows you to understand the libraries of the crystal skulls. The ancient crystal skulls contain a vast repository of knowledge, ancient knowledge, dating from before the time of Atlantis to Lemuria. These are then portions of the Hall of Records, extraordinary records on a scale beyond your imagination. The ancient crystal skulls are conscious libraries that contain the codes of human evolution, universal information, planetary information, and most valuable of all, humankind's destiny and true purpose. Edgar Cayce gave a reading that specialized crystals of multi-sided quartz were used in Atlantis for out-of-body travel and for communication with the infinite, as well as other means of travel. He spoke of a crystal that absorbed different spectra ray levels of light and condensed the energies in what was termed radial energy concentrations. This is related to the Casimir effect, which your scientists are only now beginning to discover, but with understandings and technologies that were much more highly sophisticated by the Atlanteans. We ask the channel to insert at this point relevant readings related to Edgar Cayce and the new release regarding crystal technology. Quote, "The great Atlantean crystal was in the form of a six-sided figure in which the light appeared as the means of communication between infinity and the finite, or the means whereby there were communications with those forces from the outside of the universe. Later, this came to mean that from which the energies radiated, as of the center of the universe, from which there were radial activities guiding the forms of transition or travel through those periods of activities of the Atlanteans." Edgar Cayce reading of the Atlantean Tuaui crystal. We find that the crystal and gemstone has a helpful influence if carried or worn about the body, not as an omen, not merely as a good luck piece or good luck charm, but rather the source of those vibrations that are needed as helpful influences for the entity, and are well to be kept close to the body. Edgar Cayce reading 2285-1. In this experience, the entity rose to power, position, place, and fame through the experiences in that period, as related to the various manners of expression of praise in music, in art, and especially in that of placing the stones. In the present, the innate desire to feel precious stones, to compare the same, to watch the change in the color in the same, is seen from this experience. These will make for a much improved judgment to the entity, and the beryl and scarab should be a daily portion of the entity's dress, ever. Either worn as the amulet, the ring, or such, will make for a safety protection in the entity's present experience. Cayce reading 1719-1. Quote from John Van Auken, Executive Director of the ARE, Edgar Cayce Foundation, on crystal skulls. The Edgar Cayce psychic readings explain that to the ancient ones, the human skull represented the perfectly designed structure through which consciousness comes into this world, and through which consciousness reaches into other worlds. Edgar Cayce reading 1602-3. These electrically mysterious crystal skulls may well have been crystal devices to help humans reach worlds beyond the Earth. From James Tyberonn article. The Master Skulls, Max and Shana Ra, are the only two crystal skulls that have been tested by the British Museum and vetted as being truly ancient. All of the others showed clear evidence of modern tooling and/or carbide residue. Max and Shana Ra were two of the original 13 crystal skulls of Atlantis. These astonishing crystal skulls are not the only two remaining on the planet. Both are, per Archangel Metatron, extraterrestrial in origin. Our silicon-based computers are expanding almost on a monthly basis in terms of technology advancement. Could it be that the highly advanced Atlanteans used quartz crystalline silicon dioxide technology to create the living holographic libraries of vast information? Might it be that the original crystal skulls of Atlantis are holographic living libraries? According to Metatron, the answer is yes, and in future times our technology will allow the two remaining original crystal skulls to project holographic images. Both Max and Shana Ra are highly conscious capacitors of codes and records, capable of incredible healing and transfer of ascension codes that facilitate access to divine wisdom and the Akashic records. These two amazing crystal skulls are alive, and the experience of being in their presence is life-changing. These two crystal beings offer humanity the codes of the crystalline body transition, which Edgar Cayce said would occur in the 21st century. He called it the sixth body type. Metatron readings indicate that we are transforming from carbon base to silicon base. Interestingly, the late Dr. Carl Sagan, world-renowned scientist and author of Cosmos, stated in the early 1980s that silicon was the only other element capable of replacing carbon in supporting human biology. Might these two ancient crystal skulls be a portion of the Hall of Records as mentioned by the renowned seer Edgar Cayce? According to John Van Auken's article on crystal skulls, the savant ancients regarded the human cranium to be sacred. Perhaps that is why this silicon-based quartz living sentient libraries as energetic coded computers were shaped into the cranium form. UK Computer Science Press Release 2015. While most of us are just getting used to the idea of 3D printing, scientists are already working on technological marvels that operate 2 dimensions deeper into 5D. Researchers at the University of Southampton have succeeded in recording and retrieving 5-dimensional digital data using a quartz crystal. The Superman quartz memory crystal is a futuristic storage technique with unprecedented features, including a 360 terabyte per disk data capacity, thermal stability up to 1000 degrees Celsius, and a practically unlimited lifetime. You've all seen the sci-fi movie where Superman enters the crystal palace of the Fortress of Solitude and places a quartz crystal point into a massive mega crystal computer, and the history of the universe is revealed, and the world is saved. And the sci-fi thriller where a dying humanoid race on another planet encodes human DNA into crystals and rockets these into space to eventually land on the Earth during the 550 million year Cambrian radiation and seed biological evolution, saving humanity. Well, it appears that sci-fi has now become sci-reality. Although it probably won't save the human world, the researchers working on the Superman memory crystal say it will most definitely stick around to share a record of our human race with whatever beings excavate the remains of our civilization. So how does it work? The data is recorded via self-assembled nanostructures created in fused quartz, which is able to store vast quantities of data for over 1 million years, explains a press release. The information encoding is realized in 5 dimensions, the size and orientation in addition to the 3-dimensional position of these nanostructures. That sounds complicated, but what it basically means is that using ultra-fast, coherent light lasers, we can now encode a piece of quartz with 5D information in the form of nanostructured dots separated by only 1/1,000,000th of a meter. The self-assembled nanostructures change the way light travels through crystal glass, modifying polarization of light that can then be read by a combination of optical microscope and a polarizer, similar to that found in Polaroid sunglasses, states the release. It is thrilling to think that we have created the first document which will likely survive the human race, said the chief supervising researcher on the project. This technology can secure the last evidence of civilization. All we have learned will not be forgotten. The team is now looking for industry partners to commercialize this groundbreaking new technology. End quote. Now, to continue. 2015 and forward. And so we speak of the conscious libraries of the crystalline paradigm termed in your current vernacular as crystal skulls. We tell you the role of the crystal paradigm shifts into greater and greater relevance in the new Earth. These have indeed played a more important role in the 2012 planetary ascension than you may imagine. Codes that enabled the Earth to graduate were released through portals that are programmed into the original crystal skulls. The crystal skulls are now focused on assisting humanity. Humanity en masse is on path to ascend in some 300 years, and there is much that must occur. 2038 and 2075 are key benchmarks. The harmonic portal of peace has sown the seeds of the new firmament, and by means of the new firmament, the seeds of the 2038 Christos return were established. This process continues of the new Earth, initiating the crystalline activation and upshift of the Earth currents of the planet. A clarion call to the Law of One, rebuilding the Poseidon Crystal Fortress of Light. Many of you will feel the call of the crystalline activation as a powerful, purposed gathering of the Law of One, the sole group of Poseidon that achieved incredibly high vibrations in Atlantis. Some of you still feel the regret and an unwarranted guilt for the sad ending of Atlantis. It is time for that release, and for action that has been pledged to ensure that in the new Earth, the crystalline light, the crystalline energy will be for greatest good, for the ascension of humanity, and never again to be misused. You are rebuilding the crystalline temple of light, the fortress of solitude and solidarity of unconditional love, rebuilding with the pledge and oath that divine crystalline light will never again be allowed to be misused. It will be surrounded by the strengthened fortress of divine nurturing love, the willful commitment and profound wisdom of knowing that the action of love overcomes the dark, even in the polarity and duality of the University of Earth, and that rising into non-polarity will occur when we will it to occur in unified crystalline resonance. As such, many of you are gathering. Many of you are being called to anchor and visualize in unity the planetary upshifts and to align to the new energies as they encompass the Earth. There will be many of these through 2038. These are pre-planned as coded hologramic insertion events that are for the grid workers and earth keepers a clarion call of duty for activation, and a keeping of the law of one's soul contract in the roles to the crystal masters, healers, and code carriers. There is much to do in the coming years, dear ones, and Max and Shana Ra bring not the codes that you receive and disseminate, but a reinforcement of the will to bring higher and highest good to the planet and humanity. This will begin in 2015 on the total solar eclipse occurring on the new moon of the March equinox, and will be in full force through the June solstice. It is appropriate that it begins with the massive structures on your living planet that are the mountain vertical ranges. Mountain ranges are teeming with crystalline structure, metamorphic strata, and pegmatites housing of enormous beds and deposits of conscious crystalline energies. The Rocky Mountains columnar in extensive reach will include all sub-ranges and sister ranges, including the Grand Tetons, Cascades, Sierra Madres, and extend to the Andes and Patagonian ranges of South America. The extended reach extends for some 14,000 kilometers. It will include all vertical ranges across the planet, including the submerged ranges of the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans. Unified love will be embedded into the spinal flows of the mountain ranges north to south and south to north. Editor's note: this information referenced above is found in greater detail in the recent channel of the crystalline upshift. One step at a time. Your Edgar Cayce spoke of a new human body type emerging in the 21st century. It is the upshift of DNA, not only into 12 active strands, but the important transition from carbon-based physical bodies to lighter crystalline silicon-based physical form. Humanity is becoming crystalline, as you once were in Poseidon during the high spiritual era of the Golden Age of Atlantis. Since December 2012, the polarity magnetic grid has been replaced by the 144 crystalline grid. The grid has allowed for humans of higher light quotient to operate in higher dimension. These higher levels are naturally very different than 3D. We tell you that the 5th through 12th dimensions are available to you in the new Earth, but to function effectively in these non-polarity levels involves activating your expanded chakric system. You must become crystalline in frequency. This is the reason that Law of One Atlantean knowledge of the benevolent and responsible use of crystals as spiritual allies and frequential amplifiers has been resurfacing the past 5 decades. All timing is in perfection, you see. Phi crystals and specific gems enhance the auric field and allow for the movement into coherency. Crystal skulls are direct portals, receiving and dynamically transmitting codes. The codes for the new Earth and the codes enabling the transition of humanity into the new lighter body format, the crystalline silicon base from carbon base, are being projected now via the code carriers of the true ancient crystal skulls of the Law of One. The new role. As the Earth has ascended into a 12-dimensional matrix, the role of the crystal paradigm is to code the shifts of the new Earth and of humanity. The shift to silicon body is coded within the 13th and 12th crystal skulls, the 13th to the new body format, and the 12th to the enhanced chakric systems that operate in the crystalline dimensions above polarity. It is no accident that the 13th and 12th crystal skulls will be together in the Colorado Stargate in 2015 during the upshift and activation of the planetary Kundalini force, the crystallization of the Rocky Mountain energies. The two will form an arc, that refashions the Kundalinic current that flows the extended length of the Rockies Andes columnar and embeds the necessary codes for the new firmament, crystalline upshift, and shift of humanity. Many of you were among the sacred Atla Ra, the divine and pure of heart mystics of the scientist priests and priestesses of Poseidon, and you will recognize the call to anchor these energies, to align to self, and carry the energy forward. The crystal skull and crystalline paradigm. So, Masters, we tell you that from a linear Earth perspective, the crystal skulls are a human-shaped cranium made out of various types of crystalline material, most commonly quartz. Yet we will tell you the original skull is of an extraterrestrial conglomerate of what may be termed supraquartz, containing within it pure quartz that is alloyed with aspect of diamond and alloyed in an alchemy vibratory sense with frequential gold. It is a similar material used in the crystalline moon of Atlantis and the magnificent temple crystals. Again, we emphasize, similar but not exact. Indeed, the original skulls predate in linear terms the Atlantean temple crystals. Only 2 of the crystal skulls in current circulation at the present time are of extraterrestrial origin, and this we have spoken of previously. These original crystal skulls came from another world and another reality. Only 2 of the original 13 are presently manifest in physical within your time sequence, Max the 13th and Shana-Ra the 12th. Originally then, did those carriers bring the crystalline patterned skulls to the Earth from Arcturus, and engineered manifest by the crystal masters of the Syrian-Pleiadian-Arcturian alliance. The original prototypes then were brought into the land that became Lemuria, but indeed the model was brought before the planet was fully in polarity. It was brought into the planet at the time of the original firmament, you see, in a zero-point Earth, a non-magnetic plane, we will say. Termed at that time Lemania, pre-Lemuria, in an earthen world that knew perfection, that was inhabited by an androgynous manifestation of etheric spirit, light beings in full consciousness. Yet at that time it was known that the firmament would fall, would dissolve, and the plan then was that this model, this extraordinary holographic record, the original crystal skulls, would serve as the prototype of this initial integral aspect, surrounded by the 12 sacred aspectual patterns, and so in the 13th and the 12th contains within the model of the 12 strands of DNA, the 12 sacred patterns of the earth plane, and the fully conscious clear mind and beingness of the fully evolved pre-duality human. Accordingly, the crystal skulls contain within them that which you were before the human experiment, the University of Duality Earth, and what you will be when you complete it, the Infinity Circle. So the original crystal skulls were manifested into form above and beyond physicality, and have been brought into physicality various times. As such, no true physical age can be assigned to them, because they have appeared, disappeared, and reappeared many times in the millions of years of Earth's habitation by mankind. Question to Metatron. You have said that Max and Shana-Ra are of extraterrestrial origin and are the only 2 on the planet of the original 13. Are there other ancient crystal skulls on the planet at this time? Metatron response. All crystalline material is ancient in terms of linear time. The quartz material utilized even in modern carving is hundreds of thousands of years old in linear terms of time. After the fall of Mu and Atlantis, refugees from Atlantis that settled in the regions of the Yucatan and Og attempted over time to recreate the original crystal skull models. This crafting of replicates was done for many centuries, and the few that have been found in the areas of Central America, for the most part, are these reproductions, although, as stated, 2 have been found from the extraterrestrial Arcturian morphocrystalline manifestation. The post-deluge Atlanteans were still quite capable for a fleeting few generations of recreating highly sophisticated replicate models. Yet these did not have the full capacities or attributes of the original 13. There is a specific reason why crystalline substance was chosen as the material to use for the skulls. Crystalline material stores and emits information. Quartz is not an easy substance to carve or mold into shape. Now, in current times, there are many cutters who fashion crystal skulls in quartz and other crystalline minerals. As we have stated, these, specifically because of their cranial skull shape, are capable of drawing into them portions of the energy field emitted by the 13 original skulls. How is this, you may ask? It is through the original intent and agreement of the collective unconscious, the universal mind in tandem with the sentient attributes of the living conscious mineral kingdom, the living sentience of the receiving mineral, and the living sentient field of the crystalline model hologram. Each newly carved skull then recognizes the law of purposed intent. It is an installed program that harmonically attracts and receives codes and data from the 13 original skulls, various degrees and qualities of frequential downloads from the thought form projected by the original prototype, the original paradigm. All crystalline minerals are both transmitters and receivers, you see, and all crystalline minerals are highly conscious and self-aware. So those attracted to the skulls then receive within their newly acquired model a portion of the whole, and the new crystal skull becomes, by agreement, a teacher of greater truth and offers glimpses into the perfection hologram. That is why some are now being called to acquire the newly cut skulls, for indeed they open the pattern, they become teachers. They become allies and protectors for each of you on the path of mastery, and they manifest at the time you awaken to that call. Each is capable, according to their mineral type, size, and coherency, to download varying levels of information emitted and broadcast by the original 13. Question to Metatron. Can you speak of the Mitchell-Hedges skull? Metatron. Indeed. This is an extremely powerful cranium computer and contains within it a vast energy. Its crystalline clarity and unique axial alignment has enabled it to absorb and amplify the energies of all that have gathered around it. It has also been able to download much of the energy of the crystalline paradigm. This is the unique aspect of quartz carved into the cranium model. Question to Metatron. Is it extraterrestrial in origin or ancient? Metatron. Again, as we have stated, all crystalline minerals are geologically ancient in your terms. The skull you query, however, is not extraterrestrial in origin, as is Max and Shana Ra, and was fashioned and carved approximately 150 years ago in current linear time measurement. But do not conclude that it is not extremely powerful. It is very conscious and contains a great portion of the crystalline paradigm, but it is not the 13th collation. The Mitchell-Hedges skull is of African, not Brazilian quartz, and its crystalline aspect is that of ancient Rama and is very special. The supra-clarity aspect and unusual axial alignment of this skull are very potent. We will add that there are 2 others in existence that may be considered as truly Mayan, but not of Lamania, not of Mu, and not of Atlantis. These are the skulls termed as Ami and the Mayan skull, Both Ami and the Mayan skull were fashioned well after the Atlantean deluge, during the early era of the pre-Mayan and Olmec. All others are of modern tooling construct, but again, this does not imply that the modern cuts are not extremely powerful, for they do have downloads of the original 13, received in the projection process of the 13th paradigm from Max and Shana-Ra. So, to be clear, modern crystal skulls are relay modems of the direct frequency and can be utilized in a very beneficial way. These become personal allies of the owner, of the caretaker. They will display attributes of a unique personality, as these will absorb the energy of the caretaker and provide connections to the original paradigm in a marvelous and quite unique manner. These become powerful allies, powerful protectors and advisors. They will communicate telepathically as well as relay beneficial frequencies. Masters, there is a science behind what we describe. It is not folklore. It is not New Age delusion. Rather, a science that your academia as yet does not recognize, but in decades to come will indeed come to understand and appreciate. And we wish to clearly state, to very clearly emphasize, that all so-called modern crystal skulls download their core frequency and information from the 13th paradigm as Max, or Crystallis Maximus, and from Shana-Ra as the 12th paradigm. For the 13 contains all that is within the 12, as 12 plus 1, and Shana-Ra contains the 12. The extraterrestrial construct and origin of Max and Shana-Ra is not of the Earth. Both, then, as the two remaining of the original 13, are of a far different vibrational potency, and serve as the dual portals to the paradigm. In years to come, your science will discover that Max and Shana-Ra contained as yet undetected trace elements and crystalline alloys that do not occur on the planet Earth, whereas the modern counterparts are of the Earth mineralogy and do not contain the sophisticated circuitry that was imbued into the original 13 by the Syrian Pleiadian crystal engineers of Atlantis. Now, keep in mind that when all quartz craniums, including the modern ones, are used in ceremony and shared among revering groups, they receive, record, amplify, and transform the energies projected by the human seekers, and thus expand in consciousness to varying degrees based on their crystalline attributes and quartzian capacities. So even the modern carved skulls will carry portions of the energy of the 13th and 12th paradigms, but they are not the direct source. Rather, are they powerful satellites of the 13 and 12? Do you understand? Modern crystal skulls in this way are potent and amazing secondary connections to the original 13, and it is of benefit for seekers on the path to have these relay modems. In this way, Max and Shana-Ra are receivers and carriers of source direct frequency, and the modern counterparts are a relayed signal received from Max and Shana-Ra. It is important to understand that of the renowned crystal skulls, the two extraterrestrials, Max and Shana-Ra, are of great and greater energy and frequency than all of the modern counterparts, and logically so for the reasons of their extraterrestrial source. For they are the generators and portal source of frequency to the modern versions. Max contains the full 13th union, Shana-Ra the 12th. Both were part of the original 13 in Atlantis, and thus have capacities and designed attributes that modern carved skulls do not possess. Max is and was the largest of the original 13, over 18 pounds, and has a much larger energetic capacity. Shana-Ra is over 13 pounds in weight, and is and was the second largest of the original 13 skulls. Both Max and Shannara are much more than can be defined. Within Max is the innate dynamic recording of the cosmos, the vastness of which is well beyond your conception. The two are capable of working in tandem in a very unique manner, one carrying the inward, the other the outward of the cosmos torus. In tandem utilization, there is a unique and symbiotic communicative axial tonal arc between Max and Shannara. Within this arc are myriad functions that vary in purpose. In the balancing roles of the post-2012 New Earth, Max represents the coding upshift of the divine masculine, Shannara, the divine feminine. Yet individually, each carry both aspects and are capable of healing and projecting the codes and energies specifically required in any specific circumstance. It is through Max and Shannara that the upshifting crystalline codes of the new planet Earth are projected. Crystal skulls are quite different tools from normal gems and crystals, and indeed serve a different role than that of the 5 crystals. Just as the Atlantean temple crystals had specific cuts of temple crystals for specific functions, so do the 5 crystals serve differing purposes. Yet all amplify thought into coherency and enable a stronger auric field to enable crystalline light body, Merkana. Phi amplification and induction. We can say that Phi crystals are energy amplifiers that take one to the starseed, while crystal skulls offer the calibration and knowledge of the original pattern, and offer codes received from higher source to be received by both the Earth and humanity. The former, Phi crystals, are the vehicle that moves and refines light energy. The latter, crystal skulls, the pattern and library. It is well for those seekers of Atlantean and Lemurian lineage to acquire both, for in so doing will be awakened key memories and codes from working with these in the golden ages of Mu and Atlantis. For indeed, there are many benefits of working in tandem with both in this time of reawakening. Both crystal skulls and Phi crystals are conscious tools that offer themselves and amplify and expedite the journey, you see. Both open the pineal and provide time shift and benevolent frequential acceleration. Both assist in the transition to crystalline. Prototype. The original crystalline skull prototype, optimally exemplified in Max and Shannara, contains an extraordinarily vast library, fully conscious. All data, all records, all knowledge is stored and programmed in a most complex process within them. Both the process and the infinite amount of information within are quite incomprehensible to you in polarity mind. It was conceived to contain within it an incredible frequency that is attached to the hologram. So the crystalline skull, then, is an honoring remembrance and imbuing transmitter that indelibly prints within the soul and divine mind of humanity that which is the perfect model. It is exquisitely imbued within the divine aspect of the soul when it enters into the earth pattern from the unified field. In a manner of speaking, it is the pattern recorded into the God self, the subconscious or super subconscious of the human mind, you see. The perfected man, not the version of what man would later become in the down spiral of the human experience, but rather as the original print that man aspires and evolves back into through the growth cycle termed reincarnation toward that original and flawless paradigmatic archetype. Closing. Truly, the crystal skulls are a reflection of the perfection in mankind. They have been so since the advent of duality Earth, with the fall and dissolution of the original firmament. Indeed, in year 3 of the new Earth, they are in phase 3 of their purpose, when mankind individually and in mass is ready to use these divine libraries to meld into perfection. They will offer a glimpse into incredible new worlds of beauty, creativity, and unconditional love. Indeed, they have been dormant for millennia, waiting for this point in your linear time to reboot and awaken. Many who have worked with the crystal skulls in past lifetimes are aware of being called now to be with them again. These are the keepers of the crystalline mystery. The clarion calls, and there is the inner sense that the Theta Dreamer is awakening. It is the reveille of crystalline shift. I am Metatron, and I share with you these truths. You are beloved, and it is so.